That tiny little man down there is Donald Trump, entering the college wrestling champs in Tulsa. It's his first outing since a sensational shouty Truth Social post declaring
the far and away leading Republican candidate and former President of the United States of America will be arrested on Tuesday of next week.
The only tussle anyone's talking about now brewing between Trump and New York District Attorney Alvin Bragg.
When and what is going to be charged, if it is charged, we don't have the answer to that yet, and neither does Donald Trump.
Pundits presume the ex-president could be arrested over payments made to former porn star Stormy Daniels.
When you're talking about a case involving somebody paying hush money to a prostitute or a stripper, I only know one person who's ever done that. I worked for him.
Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, served a 3-year federal sentence for misappropriating campaign funds to pay Daniels off. Cohen's also been giving evidence at a new grand jury looking at whether any state laws were broken and whether Trump has a case to answer.
The fact that the Manhattan DA, in the midst of a crime wave in New York City, says that indicting the former president is his highest priority. It tells you everything you need to know about the liberal left in this country.
Nobody has prosecuted him enough yet. I will look forward to seeing justice be done.
Every time something like this happens, he gets more popular and the polls go up. Yeah, you watch.
And on cue, supporters are already mobilising after Trump urged his base to
protest, take our nation back.
If he's calling people into the streets, this time he's seen the experience of January the 6th, and I think this is potentially very dangerous.
Prosecutors being urged to tread carefully, given what's at stake.
However guilty Trump may be, if they indict and fail to convict in New York, I think historians would look back and say that is the act that re-elected Donald Trump president.
Michael Williams is our man on the ground, and he joins us now from Washington, D.C. Michael, we've just heard a chorus of voices from the Republican Party suggesting that if Trump is arrested, it will secure his presidential victory. Are they right?
Well, I think it certainly helps to solidify the fervor of his base. Much of the appeal of Trump to his base is the sense of victimhood that him and this segment of America, the MAGA population, is somehow under siege by forces, including the FBI, district attorneys, police, what have you, basically law enforcement seeking political retribution for one thing or another. So I'm not sure that this will solidify his chances for victory, but it will certainly solidify his sense of empowerment within that MAGA segment.
Hey, Michael, I just want to extrapolate this out a little bit because it's a fairly extraordinary thing for a US president to be charged with a criminal offence. And as we know, there is an election coming up in 2024. If he does end up convicted, if he goes to prison even, what does that actually legally mean for his presidential run?
It's unprecedented. Trying to pronounce that as unprecedented, unprecedented. It is. We just haven't seen this before. This type of thing, and it's really. In my sense, it's kind of sad that we have to come to this situation where we have a person who is sitting in the top office in the nation who declares himself unable to be. He says he's not eligible to be prosecuted, that he's a victim, and yet it's incumbent upon the system to hold every citizen accountable. It's a really sticky situation for us politically and socially, and it's actually kind of the perfect reflection for where we are now as a democracy and as a society.
Michael, as we all know, Trump loves nothing more than a show, and he's calling his supporters out to protest. There's a serious side to that, which of course is something like the January 6th riot, but there's also the bit that I suppose many American voters enjoy watching. Do you think this is going to end up on the streets, a big spectacle?
The one thing you don't want to see is a repeat of the violence of January 6th. I'm sitting here in this chair, literally a stone's throw away from where that violence took place. And what you don't really want to see at all in any way, any place in the country, is that type of violence repeated. And what I am concerned with is the sitting politicians seeming to call for that type of violence in response to the threat of someone who they support being held accountable for their actions. If we get to that point where violence precludes justice, then I think that you can say that we've lost a level of justice, a level of integrity, certainly a level of credibility to ourselves and around the world. If you're going to say that the threat of violence will keep anyone from being held accountable for their actions, well, then it's just one step away from basically being either mob rule or a junta that's controlled by the powerful. In either one of those situations, it's the threat of violence that keeps justice from happening. If we get to that point, then certainly the words that are inscribed by the founders, land of the free, home of the brave, liberty and justice for all, will certainly just be words rather than an ideal to live by.
OK, Michael, thank you so much for your time tonight.
So great to be with you. Thank you.
Well, if Donald Trump goes to jail, at least his jumpsuit will match his skin tone.
Oh, Jan Fran, that is unkind.
You disagree, my good man?
It says something about America, doesn't it, that whatever this process of justice is so tied to politics, regardless of where you stand on the political spectrum. On both sides, they're arguing that this is somehow political.
Yeah, I was trying to lighten the mood here, Hamish. You brought it back up again, but OK.
You just called him orange.